Hello, how you guys doing? James here. Well, I know you've heard about the latest thing with this Jonathan Majors case, but I'm gonna show you like a few second clip of the movie. Technically, I'm gonna show like a second clip of this.
You got your toothbrush?
Check.
Do you have your deodorant?
Check.
Do you have your cozy clothes?
Got that.
What?
Do they know I'm black?
Add show quick minute of that.
Mom made me promise I'd come by today. It's my birthday.
Wait, today?
New footage released from Jonathan Majors' controversial case has a shocking parallel to this biblical story. Guys, let's jump into this video. Okay, so this says surveillance footage from night of alleged altercation between Jonathan Majors and ex-girlfriend has been released now. We're
Watch
going
what
to
it
be
says at the end of
looking
the
at this in
video.
just a second. If you guys
Check it out.
haven't been keeping up, I'll catch you up. But before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan. Thank you so much for being here. This channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire people to live a life that bless God. If you're not new here, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. What are you doing with your life? So, Jonathan Majors was accused by his ex-girlfriend of fisticuffs, and it was dragged. I think he lost movie roles. It was bad.
Disney has stood by him, actually.
Okay.
But I mean, he was skyrocketing on the level of stardom, and he definitely slowed down after this.
Yeah, he had, the massive movie with Michael B. Jordan. Was that Creed, right? They Creed together. And so he was definitely on up, and then just an allegation can derail a man's career. And so that's exactly what happened. But, there's footage. Go ahead.
Shout out to New York.
Okay, so this is grainy footage. It looks like him.
Looks like he's trying to put her back in the car. I think he's like, go with the ride service. I don't want to be with you.
And then she gets out of the car.
She gets out. She's probably,
He's holding on to his arm. She's grabbing his arm.
Yep.
He's pushing her
pushes
away.
her.
And he runs.
This man is fleeing. Oh, if this isn't the most cinematic thing you've ever seen. This man's got a trench coat just swaying in the wind.
He looked like a superhero.
He's running down the streets of New York.
This is a long run. This is multiple blocks. Those blocks are not short, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude,
she's chasing. She's not running after him into traffic.
He's like, I want nothing to do with you. He was rounding corners.
This is incredible.
Man, I wonder, I wonder.
Is that it? Is that? Oh, it can keep going.
This man's running. That was it.
Yo, okay. Now, before we get into the biblical parallel here, because there is one, and it's amazing. Okay, right? There's so many memes here. The biggest one that comes to mind is like this notion of like, believe all women always, right? All women, always, right? Like the landscape of the Me Too thing, right? Which it definitely exposed some weirdos and some creeps for sure. But then when you got into it, you started seeing that there could be just allegations that would derail people's lives, right? Then there's the meme, and this is a darker meme.
This is very dark.
Then there's the meme of like the black man has his life ruined by a white woman, right? By a Karen, right? There's that meme, right? Which I don't want to generalize, but there's also that component to it, which is like definitely a meme. And then there is the biblical parallel here, which I'm not even sure what I'm looking at.
I think she's like kind of capping. She's like, look at these marks.
What marks?
So I think she got a bruise on her knuckle, and I think she has some sort of marks on her neck.
Girl, you white. That happens to me when my daughter Hank gives me a hug.
You should see the top of my knee after I've been crossing my legs too long.
Yeah.
It looked like I took a baseball bat to my
You tripping. The marks.
Okay, but there were some things apparently that happened. I don't know. Just to steel man her side of the argument. An alleged text messages between Jonathan Majors and his accuser entered into evidence his misdemeanor trial and just released by the court. The actor tried to convince his then girlfriend to not seek medical treatment for inquiries from an argument between them. So I guess she got hurt on on her head.
On her head?
Like, I think some hit her head, and Jonathan Majors may have been, may have occurred those events. I don't know the exact details, but I will not go to the doctor if you don't feel safe with me doing so. Don't trust me to. I promise I would never mention you, but I understand your fear. You can't reject love if there's no real love. It's just lip service. I gave you love last night and this morning before I got out of bed. When you got up, you were not full of love at all. I mean, we don't know if these are real, how credible these are, what the whole side of the story is, but it definitely sounds like there's some mental health issues on both sides.
Yeah.
But, going back...
So is she saying, because the assault was claimed...
This is separate. I think this is ongoing.
This is ongoing, okay.
This is ongoing. So
there's another video of him running away from her. And
at another situation?
Yeah, and some dudes trying to press him because he, like, storms away and he's walking past and some guys trying to pursue him, and then a lady's like, stop, like, what are you doing? So yeah. There's a couple videos that have been leaked of this sort of stuff, right? But, I mean, in this situation, in this video, clearly he's de-escalating and clearly he's running from the situation, which is wise. As a man, if you're ever in a situation where things turn physical, you need to either if you can restrain the person, but even restraining the person,
don't restrain.
That mark could have been from him attempting to restrain her. Yep, right. But even in that, the restraining may not be a good idea. So you might just want to flee, like Scripture says to flee sexual immorality, flee this sort of stuff, right? Now, let's go to the biblical parallel, shall we? I got it pulled up here. You guys are going to love this. This is Joseph being sold as a slave in Egypt, and then being...
I use the NBA for, like, catching all the highlights of last night. Here we go. I can follow my favorite team, or my second and third.
I love this. This is Joseph being sold as a slave in Egypt, and then being brought out of Potiphar's house, and his master saw the Lord was with him, made all he did to prosper in his hands. So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had put under his authorities. This is when he was working for someone. The Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Lord was on all he had in the house and in the field. Thus he left all he had in Joseph's hand. So this is before he's right hand of Pharaoh. And he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance, and it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But
she gave him the do me eyes, bro. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. That detail. Mm-hmm. She didn't just say lie with me. She cast eyes on him. She cast, what was it?
Casting longing eyes on him.
That's the do me eyes.
But he refused. With me in charge, he told her, my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns, he entrusted to my care. No one is greater in the house than I am. My master is himself. I have nothing for me except you, because you are his wife. How then can I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. This is the Billy Graham rule before Billy Graham was even thought of.
This is the Joseph rule.
Yeah, it's Joseph rule. One day, he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants was inside. It's a setup, ladies and gentlemen. She caught him by his cloak and said, come to bed with me, but he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. Much like Jonathan Majors ran as she's trying to grab his cloak. This is amazing. When he saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had to run out of the house, she called her household servants. Look, she said, this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. Came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed when he heard scream for help. He left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house. She kept his cloak beside her master. She kept his cloak beside her master until his master came home. Then she told the story that Hebrew slave you brought us came to me to make sport of me, but as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house. When his master heard the story, his wife told him, saying, this is how your slave treated me. He burned with anger. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined.
He got me too'd.
He got me too. Wow, man, this is crazy. So the parallel here is pretty strong, if you ask me. But I'm glad Joseph ran. But even though Joseph ran, the accusation was still enough to get him in prison.
No real trials back then.
No real trials back then. No, they were going to go with the lady lady's voice, right? Much like people today do. And I'm not saying that these situations don't happen. They do happen. We don't know all the particulars about the situation, but it is telling of all of the different memes overlapping this situation.
I mean, man, the Bible
comes to life, man.
It comes to life. There's nothing new.
There's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun. We've got earlier in the stream Proverbs telling us that the broke want to look rich, and comparing that to luxury goods nowadays. And we've got someone getting Me Too in the Bible.
Yeah, and obviously there's the Amber Heard situation.
Oh my goodness.
Similar situation. You know?
Same exact thing.
And then she
poop on the bed.
Didn't she chop his finger off?
And she cut his finger poorly.
Stay away from these crazy women. A brilliant poet of our era said, sometimes prettiest people do the ugliest things.
Who said that?
Kanye West.
That's great.
It's true though. Sometimes people who know they're attractive and have been attractive their whole life, and it's a part of their identity and their psyche, they will do really dark things.
They got the attention their entire life for being attractive.
That's true.
And so it's correlated. That's so correlated.
That's very true.
They have a main character syndrome. Right?
Yeah.
We see according to the Bible that...
Boom.
Google Fi Wireless has flexible phone plans that keep your family safe and connected. There are plans for any budget, and you'll...
And we had to give it from a woman's perspective. An older woman's perspective. She's the only one.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, ever since the Supreme Court ruled that black people could marry white folk, jungle fever has been raging throughout black communities across this country. And now, black women are being compared to white women, and white women have been voted best all around by some. And they say that, what do they say about them? They say they're fit, friendly, and feminine, and that they are just wonderful, and that they are the best mates for black men. So we call that jungle fever. Nevertheless, a lot of black men really like these women, and people should be able to love, marry, and procreate with whomever they choose. But here's a warning. There is a downside to jungle fever. This is black American actor Jonathan Majors and his live-in girlfriend. Well, now she's been demoted to the status of ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. They have been involved in a jungle fever relationship for some time. And now, he has just now seen the downside of jungle fever, because it is quite possible that he will be going to jail doing some time for beating up this white woman. And if you say, well, he didn't beat her up, he fractured her finger and cut her ear and threw her back in the SUV when she was trying to chase him down the street, which he didn't succeed at because they were filmed running down the street like a bunch of idiots that were escaping from an insane asylum. So after all of that, it ended up, he went one way that night and she went another way, apparently picking up strangers in the street, going into a bar, getting drunk, and coming back home. So the next morning, he comes back home, they have an altercation, and she ends up passed out or something, but just drunk. But anyway, out of concern for her, he called an ambulance, and the police also came. She makes a charge that he assaulted her. So guess who goes to jail? He goes to jail. They just had his trial, and he was found guilty of assault and harassing her. I guess trying to make her get into the SUV was harassment. She had reportedly said earlier that while this case was pending, that the court would believe her because she's a woman. But what she really meant was the court was going to believe her because she's a white woman. Now I want to emphasize that this has nothing to do with black women. This was strictly between Jonathan Majors and his live-in girlfriend. And this verdict was predictable. Nobody can tell black people that we are still in the land of our captivity. You're not home free because you can act or sing or dance or tell jokes or because you think you're cute or because you got a degree from Harvard. You are not out of the woods. You are still in the land of your captivity. And nobody can make you believe that. You just have to mess around and find out for yourself. And look how sad he looks. And this looks like it might be his sister on the side looking so sad, like she's crying. So this is what jungle fever can turn into. And then it looks like Megan Good in the back and another black woman. That looks like she could be his mother. There are 3 black women in this picture that apparently is his support team. So this is the downside of jungle fever. So the headline, Marvel, Disney drop actor Jonathan Majors after he's convicted of assaulting his former girlfriend. Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company have dropped actor Jonathan Majors after his conviction on charges of assaulting his former girlfriend in New York City earlier this year. So not only is he convicted, but now he's lost work. 2 companies have dropped him. Jungle fever, I hope it's worth it. New York, Jonathan Majors was convicted Monday of assaulting his former girlfriend after a trial that he hoped would vindicate him and restore his status as an emerging Hollywood star. It did just the opposite. Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company dropped him hours after the verdict. I can't imagine how he thought that he was going to be vindicated after that white woman said he assaulted her and the police came and wrote up the report just like she said. It didn't matter whatever else was said. And she went to the hospital and she was treated for a fractured middle finger, a cut behind the ear, and she underwent a psychiatric evaluation. So see, that put her in a vulnerable position, a position for her to look like a victim. But anyway, a Manhattan jury found Majors, 34, guilty of 1 misdemeanor assault charge and 1 harassment violation stemming from his March confrontation with then-girlfriend Grace Javari. She said he attacked her in a car and left her in excruciating pain. His lawyer said Jabari was the aggressor, and it appears that she was. So what if she's lying? This is an old trick. This is an old trick by white women, and there is no reason for them to change a strategy that's still working. It's been working for ages, and as long as it's working, there's no reason to change it. The article continues, Majors, who was acquitted of a different assault charge and of aggravated harassment, looked slightly downward and showed no immediate reaction as the verdict was read. He declined to comment as he left the courthouse. So, okay. This is a different article. It says, a Manhattan jury on Monday found actor Jonathan Majors guilty of assaulting and harassing his ex-girlfriend, Grace Javari. Jurors deliberated for about 6 hours over a span of 3 days and pored over clashing narratives about what happened inside and outside an SUV on Canal Street on the night of March 25th. The jury sent several notes requesting to rewatch video evidence, have charges clarified, and testimony read back before finding Majors guilty on 2 of the 4 charges. So they had him up for 4, and he was found guilty of 2. So, I'm not sure how much that even helps. In the end, they determined Majors recklessly but not intentionally injured Jabari and harassed her outside the SUV after the altercation. Well, if they know it wasn't intentional, why would they find him guilty? Because if they found him guilty of assault, there's a sentence involved in that of some sort. Major sat emotionless in court as the verdict was read. His family stayed silent after the verdict was handed down. Yes, I'm sure they were very disappointed. But if his mother or grandma, anybody, would have tried to warn him about that kind of relationship, I doubt he would have listened. I mean, you could make an argument that this could have happened with a black woman, but I'm going to say very unlikely, and I'm going to leave it at that. Prosecutors said Majors assaulted Jabari after she saw a romantic text from another woman on his phone and grabbed it. Jurors saw photos of what doctors confirmed were Jabari's broken finger and lacerated ear. Jabari said Majors inflicted those injuries on her in an effort to retrieve his phone. Majors' defense said Jabari was the instigator, and the only thing that broke in the back of the SUV was Grace's heart. Well, boo-hoo-hoo. The defense showed video of Jabari partying at Lucy's nightclub less than an hour later with strangers she met on the street and played the 911 call Majors made when he couldn't get in touch with Jabari the next morning. NYPD officers found Jabari inside the closet of their Chelsea apartment. According to officers, she seemed delirious and was wearing only a shirt. She wasn't delirious, she was drunk. There was no video evidence inside the SUV, only testimony of the driver who described Jabari as the aggressor. See? So the only witness said she was the aggressor and he was still found guilty. Okay, nothing like the American judicial system. The jury found there was enough evidence to convict Majors on 2 counts, reckless assault and harassment. The judge set Majors' sentencing for February 6th and issued a new order of protection, barring him from any contact with his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. He faces up to a year in prison. Majors attended each day of the trial, but did not take the stand. Okay, so this is the price of jungle fever. This is the downside of jungle fever. You enter at your own risk. And black people have to continue to say that, because black women in particular have been sort of bullied into not saying anything about these relationships because you get accused of being jealous or get compared with some other race of woman, and so you don't say anything. But then when you gotta go to jail, then who shows up? 3 black women. And for the black men who risk it all, maybe it's worth it. But there is a downside to jungle fever. And the person that's gonna pay the highest price, regardless to what the combination is black men. Because a white man is not gonna pay the same price for doing the same thing to a black woman that a black man does to a white woman. So if a price is to be paid for jungle fever, the black man is going to pay the highest price. Now here's another thing. The district attorney of New York County is Alvin Braggs. Alvin Braggs could have done the same thing for Jonathan Majors that Daniel Cameron did for those white police officers that killed Breonna Taylor. He could have chosen not to take the case to the grand jury, but decided himself that there was not enough evidence to prove that a crime was committed. Or he could have weighed in on it on another way, and Jonathan Majors could have received lesser charges. Alvin Braggs is married to a black woman. And yes, I'm going to go there. Alvin Braggs has high political aspirations. So should he risk his political future for a black man who is involved in jungle fever? I say hell to the no. Hell to the no. Some black men can make these relationships with white women work. And my advice would be that if you want to be in a jungle fever relationship, you need to go to some of these black men who seem to be making these relationships work and get as much advice as you can from them. Because if you decide that you're going to leave a jungle fever relationship with a white woman and she's not ready to end that relationship, you're going to end up in some trouble. And especially if you think you're going to leave her for a more attractive, more accomplished black woman, you got trouble on your hands, buddy. Now, according to scripture, we're not supposed to be marrying outside of our tribe or dealing with men or women outside of our tribe. Like Samson, they will bring you down. But if you insist on doing it, know that it's not going to ever work like it's supposed to. Sister Deborah on the Redirecting channel did, I think, an excellent video on this topic, and I will put a link to it in the description box. We are still living in the land of our captivity, and just because some black people are filled with self-hatred and hatred of other black people does not change that. Because as much as you think you hate black people, and as much as you think black people hate you, that hatred is nothing compared to the hatred that the people who operate the system that we're in have against us. They have wiped out our whole identity, and their control of this planet depends on them keeping control of our identity. There's no emotion involved in this system. They have a system in place, and they're going to work that system. Now, you already know, everybody knows that white people do not like to see these interracial relationships between black men and white women. Yeah, there is a difference between white men and black women. And even though black men, what about black women? What about the black women? Black women can navigate these relationships better than black men, because the system says that white men can be with black women. But the system says that it doesn't want black men with white women. And if you do it, and they get a chance to do you in, they're going to do you in. That's the downside of a black man and a white woman being in a jungle fever relationship. Now,
no comment. I ain't got no comment on this one. Woo. I ain't got no comment on this one.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. We continue to see, it seems like a replay of these same events over and over again, dealing with our men. I'm about to get into this topic, but before I do, of course, you know, we will be sharing the broadcast so that others can join us live, y'all. So that others can join us live. These kind of subjects get very, very tiring, as you all know, because we feel like there are lessons that are being missed here. right? Very real lessons, life lessons, life and death messages, right? And there seems to be a deaf ear. We have shared the broadcast. Now we're going to get into this. There seems to be messages that are being ignored by our people. So again, talking about this situation with Jonathan Majors. He has been dropped by Marvel, and he is being actively canceled. Now, I asked the question, where did he go wrong? Okay, where did he go wrong? Now, I'm not saying that the woman on the right was the answer to his prayers, or should I say the solution to the problem that he's in now. But I will say this much. The one on the left most definitely was not the answer. But how was that answer inserted into his life? There is this thing that is happening. We've seen things going on with all kinds of familiar faces, celebrities, athletes, even in other arenas where you just simply have a black man that has wealth or money, some type of status or clout, then the vultures start to surround him. I read you all the scripture in Proverbs, the 7th chapter, yesterday. And it said, it's for your life. It's not just your money. This is for your life. Now, this part of the conversation, many of our brothers don't want to have. A lot of the commentary that we are seeing surrounding this topic, no one wants to dive into the biblical pool, the biblical prohibition pool, the Torah pool. No one wants to dive into that part. A lot of the narrative is centered around, they got another one of our brothers. So, I'm going to ask this question based on what we've seen over, I'm just going to say the past 100 years. Let's just go with 100 years. Based on the past 100 years in this country and around the world, dealing with other groups of people, did they get another one of our brothers, or did he get himself? That's the question of the day for me. Who got who? Because I'm going to tell you right now, look at that woman's face on the left. Some people don't seem like they rap too tight. I'm going to just be honest with you. I don't understand how any of us could look at the history of this country, looking at the stories of Emmett Till, looking at the Rosewood story, looking at the Black Wall Street story, looking at all of these situations that have happened all over this country and around the world. There was even a website, fellas, ladies, that stated that a good 70, 80, 95% of the black men that you would see hanging from the popular tree, strange fruit, y'all know what I'm saying here, they said a good majority of those men were either dating or married to a white woman. That's what this website was. It was logging these instances. But there is a witchcraft, a sorcery that is happening to our brothers. And I'm not saying this as an excuse. I'm just telling you what's going on. Many of them have gotten to the point where they simply don't care what the risk factors are. I told you all the situations that I knew about personally. I remember one of our relatives was telling us about a young man that they knew. I'll just put it to you this way. He was a very handsome young man. They showed us the pictures of his wedding pictures. Okay? Let me just give you all the rundown. He was a very handsome a dark young man, and he was at the altar getting married. And I'm going to tell you what his wife looked like. Some people, they know what Honey Boo Boo looks like, right? I'm just going to say that. She looks similar, y'all. She looks similar. And the person who showed us the image says, doesn't he look unhappy? He looks really sad and confused. Let me tell y'all the rest of the story. The young man looked like he was in a trance. He looked sad and confused. And guess what, y'all? I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but he looked like he was under a spell. And the young woman, she didn't look like she came from a family that was well-to-do. She was on the healthy side. And her family looked like they may have come from the hills of Virginia. Again, I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, family. I'm just trying to paint you all a realistic picture of what I saw. The young man looked sad. He looked like he was ready to run up out of there. Now, the relative of ours that showed us the picture, this was a friend of theirs, they said he was made to marry her because apparently she had gotten pregnant. And I said to myself, how on earth did that happen to begin with? What is going on with our men to where they are not seeing the trap and the snare that is out there? And so when I see a lot of brothers out here saying, they got another one, they got another one. Or did he get himself? So someone says in the chat that next is going to be the civil trial. We were talking about that earlier today. That now that she's nailed this one, at first they made it seem like he was going to win because remember he won something at first. They threw it out, right? But the second part, they said, nope, slam dunk, we got you. Okay? So now they're going for the bag. I wouldn't be surprised if the civil suit is next. But again, I'm sorry, brothers. Many of the daughters of Zion try to warn you all, but you all make up every excuse to try to pretend like every so-called black woman is unworthy of you. You try to make it seem as though every last black woman in America is unworthy, as if you've encountered every last one. That's just a game that you all are playing. I like what Ja is saying here. He got himself into this. Now a black woman is by his side in his lowest state. Ain't that something? Someone dropped in the chat yesterday. I was telling the story of the man in Africa who was engaged to an African woman. Then he left her and went and married a woman from Europe. She took all of his cash, took everything he had. When he had nothing left, she left him high and dry. Left him high and dry. And he went back to the African woman who gladly accepted him back with nothing. But yet, many times the daughters of Zion are called the gold diggers. Now let me clarify something. I know for a fact that there are some black women who are gold diggers, but they play stupid games, right? They play dumb games. They've watched too much television and they've done this and they've done that and they think that they're supposed to ask a man to pay their rent on the first date. Stupid stuff like that. But if men were being honest, if they were looking for the right type of daughter of Zion to begin with, if they were looking for the right type, they know good and well they would find her. They just don't want that kind. They just don't want that kind. Now, as far as the black woman that's on the side right now, she has her own fair share of stuff that she's been involved in. This is why I said starting off in the broadcast that I'm not saying that she is the right choice, but someone who is melanated would that have been a better choice for him. Why is it that celebrities, if it's a black woman, she has to be equal, meaning she has to be a celebrity too, in many cases, not all. Many times you'll have a black male celebrity, many times not all, who wants an equal black female celebrity or a black female athlete or whatever. But when it comes to their choice in picking a Caucasian, she don't have to have nothing at all. All she has to do to be qualified is be white. Now, looking at this young woman here on the left, where did he go wrong? Where did he go wrong? Did he see this person and say, oh, she's going to make a great mom? Did he see her and say, wow, she's such an amazing woman? Did he look at her and say, oh, she has her head on right, she is just so incredible and she's going to be a great example for her? I mean, what was it? What was it? Some of y'all don't like the biblical aspect of things. Some of y'all don't want to talk about the sorcery, the witchcraft. Some of you all don't want to talk about the lust factor. That's why I rarely see any brothers talking about Proverbs, the 7th chapter. Listen. I love my people. I love my people. But there's a problem in Zion. There's a problem with our people. Our people do not understand what is at stake. Wow. Our people don't understand what's at stake. We keep on wallowing around in a cesspool of sin and get confused when they get caught up. So as someone pointed out before, I thought it was really strange. I want to say this. Okay, so someone pointed out that the black woman is there with him at his lowest state while he's being railroaded and shafted by the woman on the left. But one thing that we noticed when he was running from this woman, did anyone see the theatrics when she was laying on the floor? It reminded me of the scene from, what is that, the movie that had Mariah Carey in it and the slave man, the butler. It reminded me of the scene in there when she said it was what was that movie? I might be getting the movies mixed up, but the white woman was accosted by someone who looks like her, and she started yelling it was an N-word. She started saying that someone black did it when really it was her own boyfriend who did something to her, who beat her. So I can't remember exactly. Thank you. Someone said it was Rosewood. So you all see what I'm talking about here. What is it? What do our people need to see before they understand that you got to stay away from this stuff? Stay away from it. But when he was running from her, it really looked like he was running for his life, y'all. He was running for his life because he knew what time it was. It was at that moment that Jonathan knew he messed up. Y'all hear what I'm saying? He knew he had to get away from her because she was trying to set him up. And from what it looked like in the vehicle, it looks like he was trying to get her off of him. Because she, when she got out again, she was still grabbing and tugging on him. But you know how other people think. They're thinking, oh no, she's grabbing and tugging, that he is the aggressor still.
One thing, my prostate cancer hasn't changed. This place. We've made some great memories.
Self to black women. First of all, you're not a woman. That's number one. You're not a woman at all. Stop saying what she can do and why you can't do it, because you can't. Certain things they can do, you can't do. Certain things we can do, they can't do. Because I already know where some of this is going to go. And I'm already prepared for it. I done had some good time off. So I'm ready to lay into some behinds today. But at the same time, I'm going to preface this before I get started. At the end of the day, your life is how you live it. I am not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you how to move. All I can do is just be the guy that can just speak reason. That's it. Once you turn off this live stream, when you listen to it now, later, you don't have to listen to me. I am not in control of your life. Do you date who you want, marry who you want? That's on you. But for the people that maybe want to learn a little something in this stream today, I'm going to try to just give some information, but I'm going to preface that. Your life, do you. You have a right to take any kind of risk you want to with your life, your freedom, whatever. It is your right. I am not the guy to stop you. Please do whatever you're going to do. Okay? All right. You say Patty said he triggered and I ain't even started. Yeah. That's why I'm giving I mean, shoot, hold on. Let me go back. Let me go to something I haven't did in a long time. Let me cue this up. Disclaimer. In the video, I'm speaking about the subject matter. I'm not speaking about all people. So if this doesn't refer to you, I'm not talking about you. Okay, now that is my disclaimer I put on my soundboard here. Okay? So I'm not talking about you. Don't tell me anything. Don't whine, don't cry, or whatever. All right. So we've been on here long enough. So as you know, Mr. Jonathan Majors, Mr. Kane the Conqueror himself, was in a trial with an ex-girlfriend of his, woman from the European American community, and the end of that trial just was not a good look at all. It's BS. It's complete BS. It's BS. And like I said, we're going to go over it. We're going to read through it. We're going to look at that video. We're going to get more into it. And we're going to just talk about just some history, even some things that my grandmother, may she rest in power, told me, and why. And I'll get into all this today. Let's get into just the news part of it with Mr. Jonathan Majors here. And we'll interject with certain things that I want to show on the screen. Kobe. And Kobe got his act together, and you ain't heard nothing else about Kobe after that. Nothing. Not even a peep about Kobe after that. Whatever Vanessa told him or whatever, he got on the straight and narrow, and Vanessa never tried to destroy Kobe at all. Now, I believe, personally, if he wasn't married to Vanessa and he was married to Grace here, oh, she would have got it. I believe that. Because in a lot of cultures, black culture, Latin culture, Asian culture, African culture, Caribbean culture, you know, you have your East Indians, your Arabs, most of those cultures so have some sort of melanin belief and we need to stay with our relationship, we need to stay with our marriage. This stuff recently with black Americans not really want to be married and so quick to divorce, that's recent things. That has not been the history of our people. Not at all. It's very, very recent in our history in America. But most people, all this no-fault divorce, where did that come from? That didn't come from us. Black Americans didn't ask for that. Asians didn't ask for that. Latinos didn't ask for that. East Indians, Arabs, no other groups asked for that. Africans didn't ask for that. That was for them. They created the no-fault divorce. And what ended up no-fault divorce doing? Now they're complaining about their birth rates because of no-fault divorce. They created the child support system that everybody complained about. They did it. They man did it. Now they want to complain that their woman is off the chain, or they want to talk about feminism and all that. No, you created that problem, sir, not us. Now, yeah, we may complain about it happening in our community. Sure, we do complain about it. But we didn't create that problem. Even in some of our issues now, we still have some sort of camaraderie about community. Even though we got problems. That individualism stuff, that comes from them. Let me tell you something. If you know their history, the only time they ever been on code for anything except anti-black racism. Because you just put them in historically. If they by themselves with no other people that has any kind of melanin to them, they literally fighting each other all the time. Listen, I had a guy I used to work with. I never forget that. He told me, this is a white guy, he told me that he would not want to live in a country with just all white people. And he wasn't the social justice type of person. He was a regular southern white dude. But you know me, I'm going to be me. I had to ask him this question. Give me a second. I had to ask him this question. I said, that's an interesting comment. Why did you say that? And you know, he tell me, he said, we don't like each other. I said, what you mean? He said, we as white people don't like each other. He said, we get around each other too long, we're going to start harming each other. We're going to start doing things to each other. And I told him, well, I don't have a problem living in a country just full of black people. I have no problem with that. Not at all. He said, yeah, but for the most part, black people don't do that to each other. He said, really, the majority of the problems, just beyond with you, with black people that we see, is because of my people being involved. And I'm like, okay. See, that's why I tell people, talk to everybody. Don't just sit up there, I'm only going to talk to my people. That's stupid. You live in a whole global society, talk to everybody. Sometime they'll tell the truth about their community to you. Another thing I'm going to tell you, and I really want to go into that tomorrow. Oh God, I got to go into that tomorrow. That's a whole live stream in itself. They don't even want to go to Europe for vacation. Black folks who travel, you know what I'm talking about. They don't even want to go to Europe like that. They want to go to everybody country that got some sort of melanin to them, but they don't want to be in their homeland.
Shout out to Phil Scott for that. I'm about to cut this video short. What I would say to a black man concerning this topic on jungle fever. You know, I heard this one guy, I haven't seen him online, and it's the one thing he said was very powerful, was African brother, and he said that he don't date American women, Western women. He said the women over in other places a lot better. And I was like, wow, you know, wonder why but he said he don't date white women in America. I don't know what made him said that, but it was something he said. I think his channel's Wally C. And that brother, because I think he'd been to different parts of the world. And I'm like, wow. And it really opened up my eyes to hear that from an African brother. You know, and say about American white women. You know, I've always talked about, we always talk about black women, but it's the white women too. And that's why I put American women, black and white. But as long as you are on this land of America, color always going to matter. Color always going to matter subconsciously. And I've made videos in the past where there have been black athletes that been through this, and a couple have lost their scholarship. They have lost everything, and a couple of them almost end up going into the NFL. And a couple of incidents happened here in Columbus, messing with white women. Yeah, Columbus, Ohio. We had a couple well-known athletes here that went off, and they almost got hemmed up here. So, what they're telling you is the truth. What they're telling you. And it, you know, as a black man, it really, you look at the white female a little bit different. After seeing this, you know, you really, I'm not saying it all, but you really cause you to really look at it a whole different light. And then, you know, if you, and like, but I agree with the first woman says, you know, as couples that have been through it, in an interracial relationship with the white female, but know what you're getting yourself into. And luckily, I've dated white women in the past, but I'm glad I never come across nothing like that. And I tell you, boy, as a black man, it made me think. It really does. And I know there are some white females attractive, but damn, that's one of the things that gonna go through your mind. Is she one of those type of females? And seeing how the way the system is in America, wow, that even with the evidence, they just turn him into Bill Cosby, basically. O.J. Simpson, they did a number on that brother, man. And you have to walk on shells in America. You really have to, if you're a black man in America, you really gotta walk on shells. And it goes, and like they said, no matter how much money you have, no matter what anything, you still gotta walk on their shells. And I see why a lot of people want to leave this country, because of the justice system, the way how the system is here. Not saying that it won't happen in other places, but man, if you don't fall in love with somebody, or get around with somebody, yeah, go with the darker women. Mess with the melanated women. Because along you in America, with a non-melanated women, and something happens when you two have a disagreement, just that what John Tomajas went through can happen to you. So I would say this, you know, I mean, sometimes I joke about, I said, people gonna marry, like he said, date, marry who you want to date. I understand, like I said, I wouldn't make 100 videos, but at the same time, you really got to know the character of a person. You really got to know the character of that person. It's not about the color, it's about the character. And that's why I can tell you from my experiences. And I dated a biracial woman, and I told you about my story about that. And yeah, it's a different, when you go among some other people, it's a whole, and when you get behind the closed doors, people, the real nature of people come out. And when you married to somebody of that nation, the true nature of them going to come out. They can't withhold what's really deep inside their heart. Please take this advice. People can put on the face, but when they go behind closed doors, they turn to a whole, and you have to deal with that person day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, second to second. They're a whole different person. So, if anything I took away from this video, you know, take the advice, take a light, see it from a spiritual aspect of it, and go from there. Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. Till next, I hope it just go through. I was trying to make a point about the beginning. Hope it don't get flagged with that one clip. Alright then. You guys take it easy. Be blessed. Till next time. Be blessed. Take care.